I like this top mount jacks. It's going to save me a little bit of space.
No, the screen's bigger. It's just better than the TC Electronic. And I don't mean that bad.
I don't think so. I don't think it's any better. I've played with it. I think they're about the same.
No. You're wrong.
I think they're about the same.
With all due respect.
But I like the form factor of this. I do like the Sweden tuning idea. So I'm curious to see if I can tell a difference.
With the G string, it really helps.
You think so?
Yep.
We're going to find out.
Okay.
I think it's the G and the B that the Sweden tuning really will affect.
It really helps me.
It's that like third sound.
Without it, I can't play.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's get started on this episode.
Okay.
Welcome to Tone Bros. My name's Casey.
And I'm Colin. We're going to get started with our current topic of the day, which has to do with the Mike Campbell Heartbreaker book.
Yep.
Okay.
You're going to have to tell me about it. I haven't read any of it.
All right. So I'm just getting started. So I got a baby at home.
Yep.
An infant. And finding time to read and making sure I don't have poop on my hands when I'm reading.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't see that coming?
No.
I got the poo on me.
Making sure I don't have poop on my hands when I'm flipping through these pages.
You know what?
I'm
going to buy my own book.
You can borrow it, man.
No.
You just got to wash your hands after each read.
No.
So anyways, this book, and you know what? I'm not a big memoir person.
Yeah.
Like, I think I read Slash's book,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the only one that like I could really get my hands on and actually read. Because his story's kind of unique too.
Get through, you mean, not get your hands on. Get your hands on me. It's the only book you could get.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay, let's continue.
back on track. The Slash book I really enjoyed. There hasn't been many memoirs I really cared about. I've read some and then I'll stop like halfway through and never finish. But this book has been phenomenal. Now I'm only like chapter 8 or so. So I'm really early in the book. There's a lot of pages, but so far it's been phenomenal. Not only does it tell you he started with this piece of junk guitar because his mom couldn't afford anything else. He started with nothing. He didn't really have his dad in his life that much. But it also talks about, like, as soon as he heard Johnny Be Good, he's like, it was all done. He knew that's what he wanted.
What's the deal with that?
Oh, did I not mention that? Yeah, he signed it. Because, I mean, like, he's my hero.
Man.
He is my hero.
How cool.
So my wife actually bought that for me for my birthday. So
Pretty cool.
it's pretty awesome.
It's a picture book.
There's some pictures, not a
Okay.
whole lot. But there's some unique things in there. There's one where he's playing a Les Paul Special, which I thought was pretty cool.
Man,
You don't see him playing that very often.
Some cool stuff.
Some cool stuff, cool story. One thing that I really liked about the book is he started playing this, piece of crap guitar, and he was trying to figure out how to make some sounds, and he kept switching between cowboy chords, right? And he had this like music book, and then he just saw some guy near his house that was, sitting out there, and I think he was playing guitar or something. He's like, let me show you something. And I think he was like first showing him power chords, and he's like, oh, that's how they switch so fast. And he's like, that opened up a whole new like realm for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's a really cool book. I just got started, but Mike Campbell's actually he's got a great book. So I think you guys should check it out. Even if you're not a Tom Petty and Heartbreakers fan, his story is really cool. As a musician, I think you'll like it.
Tell you what, if you guys just want to hang on, I'll read through this real quick.
Yep. We're going to have a complete summary. Hope you don't mind sitting through the next 3 hours.
Just hold on a moment. No, it looks great.
It's funny. He thinks he can read.
That's why I was excited it was a picture book. So, yeah, memoirs are a little hit and miss for me. I got through the Brad Paisley one. I've read a few of them. And I'm a book reader. I love to read books, but sometimes these memoirs are, I
They're
think
bland usually.
some people, oh, this is going to sound awful. Some people think that their lives and their story is more exciting than what it really is.
Yeah.
I don't mean that badly, but it happened to them, so it's very, to them it really does feel unique. Where whenever sometimes you read through these memoirs, they're very similar.
Right.
I think that Mike Campbell's can be very unique, without a doubt. You just hear some of the stories and stuff he talks about. Great guitar player, definitely a guitar hero of both of ours. Not as much of a guitar hero to me as what he is to you. He's your dude.
I mean, it's him and Dwayne Allman. Like, do you need anyone else?
Well, I would say you definitely need more people. but
I don't know.
they are just incredible guitar players. Mike Campbell's really great guitar player, but also he's a fun interview. Anytime I've seen him interviewed and like whenever he's talking to people,
Right.
it's interesting. He's got a great sense of humor. If you guys haven't saw the My Collection Gibson video,
Oh, yeah.
they put out on Mike Campbell and they touch like probably 5% of his guitars.
Right.
But it's really interesting. That space he's got is incredible, where he's got guitars hanging up all over.
On the racks, yeah.
Oh my gosh, so cool. Go check that out. That's on the Gibson TV YouTube channel, I think.
Yeah, with Mark Agnesi.
And he's such a unique guy, such a cool character. His book and all of his stories are going to be very unique, very cool. I'm excited for, I just need to pick up my own copy because I'm going to want a copy because I'm...
Yeah. You don't want a poop copy?
No, but I'm also a little bit of a bookworm, so I'm going to want a copy to stick up in my little library of things too. And I'm kind of jealous that you got one of the signed copies.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
It is really
I'm
cool.
super excited about it.
So you want to go ahead and move into your main topic?
All right. So my main topic actually is kind of going off of the Mike Campbell theme we got going on here.
Okay.
He did an interview, and he was talking about, I think he was doing some songs with George Harrison, and he was...
George Harrison.
I know. Such a unique guy,
Man,
unique name.
This guy never played with anybody.
So anyways, he was talking about how he was playing the slide part. I found it on YouTube. I don't even remember who interviewed him, but he was talking about the slide part, and I realized, because he demonstrated him playing the slide part, and it didn't sound right, so he had George do it. And the dude was using his thumb when he was playing slide. Now, you always see somebody going over the fretboard with the thumb, right?
Yeah.
That's usually the go-to. Like, you see Tommy Emmanuel, John Mayer, like, there's Greg Koch, like, a lot of people will use the thumb over the fretboard to just have more fingers to be able to do some stuff down low.
Yeah.
But he was using his thumb when he's playing slide to, I guess, deaden the note.
Huh.
And I was like, I've never seen that.
Now, was he using it also to, like, hit root notes with it at the same time while he was playing some slide stuff?
Not based on this interview.
Okay.
But I was like, maybe there's more to the thumb than I realized.
There definitely is. This is something I've messed with fairly recently that I struggle with.
What?
I struggle with it. Well, my problem is, like, I get around... Now, obviously not slide. I'm not a slide player.
No.
But anytime I go to add my thumb in with anything else I'm playing, I struggle with this, because my hands are not that big.
Okay.
So you meet some guitar players, and their hands... I met Steve Vai one time, and I know that Joe Satriani has got the album Surfing with an Alien.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was talking about Steve Vai. Because that dude's fingers are so long.
Yeah, they are.
His hand is huge.
He should have been a piano player.
I shook his hand and it wrapped around twice, you know? Okay, maybe not. But his hand was huge. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, I understand why he can get some of these stretches and some of these crazy contortions he can do with his fingers. Mm-hmm. And I go to play some of this stuff with my thumb over. And if I've got a guitar with a neck that's very substantial, I struggle first off.
Sure.
This neck is a little bit smaller, kind of mid-size, and I can get my thumb up around it. However, when I do that, a lot of times I struggle with keeping the notes in tune. Mm-hmm. Because I'm working so hard to get my thumb up there.
Make it sharp.
All those notes are sharp.
Yeah.
And then it's awful.
Right.
Like, no good. If you're not in tune, it's a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
So I really struggle with this. You do better with this than I do. For years, I was always against putting my thumb over the top. I think that...
You thought you were cheating.
I kind of thought it was cheating, and I didn't understand, really the reasons for it.
Right.
I was in a different mindset guitar playing wise in general. But now that I've kind of changed that, I'm starting to play with it, but I fight it. So what's some entries that we can get into, like, using our thumb? Because you are much better at
songs or what to do?
General techniques, some tips.
All right, so my biggest tip, start with an acoustic.
Okay.
Don't mess with an electric.
Really?
Yep.
Because the string tension?
Right, because you've got more flexibility with an electric. You're always going to go sharp. But also, you got to get used to having your thumb on that string. Like, I always started with, I don't know if you've heard the song by John Mayer, and I know not everyone's a Mayer fan, but he has a song, Why Georgia?
Yeah.
And he uses his thumb in it. And that's kind of what started kind of my thumb journey with the guitar. That's really weird to say. My thumb journey.
My thumb journey. Okay.
Do you remember Spy Kids where they had the thumbs?
That was after my time.
There needs to be a logo right here of the thumbs.
Oh.
The Spy Kids, their faces were thumbs. You don't remember that?
No, Spy Kids were after me.
So I think this whole slogan for this segment needs to be Attack of the Thumbs.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, all right. So you use your thumb. I would say start with an acoustic because you're going to get used to having your finger hit the string, getting used to the vibration. Because you're right. Like when you first start, it feels totally unnatural. And I think at first you're going to do that.
Yeah, I'm doing that a bunch.
But like honestly, you get super used to it. And the big thing is like, I think people, when they bring their thumb up, they almost automatically, because their thumb goes like a little crooked, is they hit the fret. So you almost got to go back a little bit. You almost got to go back a little bit. So you start with an acoustic, you get used to it. Then, when you feel more comfortable, then you move to an electric. And then you'll have a little more like control over that thumb when you move to an electric.
Okay.
I don't know.
Start with an acoustic.
That's my
Look
feelings.
at John Mayer, Georgia.
Why Georgia?
Why Georgia?
Yeah, Georgia.
Why Georgia?
Georgia is just Ray Charles.
Okay. Keep an eye on your thumb, not going to that fret as much.
Because it naturally goes crooked.
Yeah, so do you keep it straighter?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't even remember. No.
No, yours is curved also. But not as much as mine. See, I've always like tried to cheat all that type of stuff. So, let me see that again. So, anytime I've had a song that's like that, I ended up trying to find a way. Like I've tried to find, like throw another finger there rather than using my thumb.
Right.
And I watched somebody else play, and like they're using their thumb for this, and like they'll switch down to like, you know, whatever they've got going on. And they're using their thumb for all this stuff, and I'm thinking, those cheaters.
You're just jealous.
Well, now I am, because I'm like, I should have been working on this the whole time.
Yeah.
I need to be adding my thumb in more.
Let me see the guitar real quick. So we were talking about Mike Campbell and how he's playing slide. What threw me off, and I know I'm about to hit this table.
It's okay.
But is he has his thumb out here, and he's playing slide like this. And I was like, that's ingenious. Because you can totally deaden the string here and use the slide. Now, I've never tried that.
Yeah.
But I plan to.
Some people also will fret behind their slide.
Right.
To
get different notes.
Which is crazy to start thinking about.
It's not cool. Or it's
it
is cool. It's not crazy.
Well, it's not crazy, but it seems, because I'm not a slide player, it seems like you're elevating the difficulty in guitar.
Oh, for sure. Because, so the weird thing is when you have that slide and you're fretting here, but then you're also playing notes here, like,
yeah,
and you're not pressing down on the string, but you're pressing it here, so it's like a mind twister.
Jack Pearson is really famous for playing behind the slide.
Yeah.
So he'll have a slide going. I don't remember if he's third or fourth finger, and then he's playing like a couple notes here. Just great. Anyway, the thumb.
Use it.
Use your thumb.
Yep. And then there'll be Attack of the Thumbs.
Attack.
Thumbs everywhere.
Yeah, it's your thumbs are
not just for video games.
Nope. Or on your phone.
Yeah.
Not scrolling Instagram, looking at pedal boards.
Really important for guitar too. Don't forget about flexing that thumb muscle, if you know what I mean.
Flexing the thumb muscle. Okay.
There we go.
Let's go ahead and move into my gas or pass.
Okay.
So my gas or pass today is talking about the Fender Super Sonic 1x12. This is the combo amp. They have a head version of this too.
Right.
But I want to talk specifically about the combo amp version. So Jimmy Page was famous for playing this at one point, the head.
I remember.
It's a fairly newish amp. So
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, it's not like an amp from the 60s, though, or 70s,
2000s.
is what I mean. Yeah, probably so. And so you plug into it. It's got 2 channels. And on the second channel, it's got like a vintage and higher gain mode with 2 different gains, gain 1 and 2, with basically a master volume on the other end. It's got reverb in it. It's got a specially designed speaker in it. It's voiced slightly different. You've played one of these, right? I've played a couple of them at this point. What's your thoughts on this amp? Are you a fan of this amp?
So you forgot to mention the clean channel.
Yeah.
Has like different sections, and I can't remember the exact specifics of what they're going after. But if I remember right, it's like Bassman and Deluxe, maybe.
It's definitely Bassman for one of them, because I remember thinking about that
Maybe
whenever
it's Super. I don't remember.
whenever they put that 68 reissue of the Deluxe out, because the first non-reverb channel is supposed to be kind of like
Right.
a Bassman. I was like, oh, that's what they did in the Super Sonic.
But there's different voices.
Yes.
Is what I'm trying to get at. And I know, don't judge us. We're doing this off of memory. So the clean channel has different voices, and I think that's a super usable way to change the voices of the clean channel.
New, it's $1,700.
Yeah.
But you can find them used all day long for like really reasonable, like $800-900, because they're not very sought after.
So here's my 2 cents about this amp. If you are shopping, this is your first time getting a good tube amp. So let's say you have maybe a Boss Katana, and you're like, you know what? I'm making the plunge. I'm buying a tube amp.
Yep.
This Super Sonic might be the best amp you could choose.
Okay, that's a big statement.
Reason why, there's reverb.
Yep.
You got a clean channel. You still got a dirty channel. If you're going for the Boss Katana, you got lots of options. So it's kind of narrowing your field, right?
Yeah.
But it still gives you more options, especially if you don't have a huge pedal board. Okay? So if you're going from the Katana and you want to upgrade to a tube amp, I think the Super Sonic is kind of the way to go. The burn channel is not exactly my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it could get you the gig, it can get the gig done in a pinch. Mm-hmm. Also, when you start using pedals, you can strictly use the clean channel and use pedals if you wanted.
It would be a great clean platform amp, especially in that Bassman channel.
It really would be. I just think of like Jimmy Page when he's with the Black Crowes, because he used the Super Sonic.
That's when he was using it. Yeah, that's
I
what
think
I was
Pete
thinking
Townsend even used it at one point.
Yeah.
This is a great sounding amp. It's not a bad amp whatsoever. Now, like I said, the gain side, maybe not my cup of tea, but all things considered, it's a phenomenal amp for the price.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those amps that people have totally forgotten about, but if it would resurge, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Greg Koch was playing him a bunch whenever he was doing some of those Fender clinic things. He was going around playing. I guess that was earlier 2000s. And I think it's just a fantastic little amp. It sounds great. It sounds big and bold. And you can use it as a kind of a clean platform. But also, if you needed to throw the gain channel on as a grab-and-go amp, it's going to get the job done. It's going to be loud enough. It's got a 50-watt speaker in it.
You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
My Bogner Alchemist. It's kind of similar.
Similar. It is kind of.
I think the Bogner...
Not tone-wise.
No.
We're talking about feature set.
Features. The Bogner has delay on it. It's a digital delay. I think the reverb on it's even digital. But like it still has a clean channel and a dirty channel. I think it's a similar vein.
Yep.
And I still think that's a great pickup too.
Yep.
If you're moving from a Boss Katana, I think that's a great way to go too. However, I think the Fender Super Sonic, if you're going for classic sounds, I would go Super Sonic. If you're going for a more modern high gain, I would go the Bogner route.
Yeah, there's a few other places you can go, obviously. I think this kind of falls in the realm of great tube amps to get into. I don't know that this is a end-all, be-all tube amp for many people.
It's not. It's definitely not my end-all, be-all.
However, I can see it kind of filling the spot for the guy that kind of likes a Fender Deluxe, but does some modern stuff too, and he would like to have an amp that kind of does a little bit of both.
I think another shout-out would be like Mesa Lone Star.
Yeah, Mesa Lone Star is great. And then, I mean, you're kind of in the category too of some of this Hot Rod Deluxe stuff. But for me, I'm a Deluxe guy. I like the cabinet size. I like the setup of the Super Sonic a little bit better than a Hot Rod Deluxe for me personally.
Me too.
So it is a gas for me because I kind of like the idea of having it even as a backup for my Deluxe or a grab and go.
Oh, yeah. If your amp goes down.
It would be a great stereo pair or a wet-dry pair. So if you've got it in that Bassman channel especially, then you don't have any of the reverb in there. That could really be a great dry amp. And use my Deluxe as my wet amp.
That
true. Would be fantastic. Yeah. So it's a gas for me. For you?
Pass.
Okay.
Just because I've got all the amps that I want and I don't necessarily need the flexibility it offers.
He's got all the amps he'll ever want.
Nope. All the tones I need.
Right now.
Actually, that's not true either.
Okay. Anyway,
I just don't want it.
we'll leave it at that. So it's a gas for me. It's a pass for him. You want to go ahead and move into your gas or pass?
Sure. So my gas or pass is related to a drive. I don't know if you've really had the chance to check out. I mean, I know you know about it. It's the Paisley Drive from Wampler.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not talking about the deluxe,
Yep, the standard.
just the standard. So it is loosely, and I say that loosely, based on a tube screamer.
Yep.
But there's lots of switches, lots of voices that you can change in there. And you're not a tube screamer guy.
I don't like tube screamers.
But I feel like if there was one tube screamer vein pedal that you might like, it would be this.
Yeah, so I think it's hard too because people say this is tube screamer based, and it's radically different sometimes.
It is completely different.
And I feel like the Paisley Drive might fall into that category.
I think it's more like a sparkle drive.
Mm-hmm.
It has some clean with gain like mixed in, but it is not like so mid-focused.
Yep. So I like that. It doesn't seem like it cuts the bass the same way, and it's not quite as mid-focused. So how many times have we heard this is a tube screamer that doesn't cut bass and is not as mid-focused?
About every single pedal out there.
A lot. So that makes me a little nervous, but Brad Paisley has his name on it.
It can't be terrible.
It's not going to be bad, I can tell you that. It's
Right.
definitely going to at least be good.
Right.
It's going to be very useful. I'm a fan of that. The new versions have top mount jacks. We know how I feel about top mount jacks. I love me some top mount jacks. The voicing switch I think would be very useful for different amps. And then I really think I would like this pedal. I like the idea of the Paisley Deluxe because you get a little extra. You get that underdog circuit, which we've got more to talk about that pedal in the future. I don't want to get into that right now. But not talking about that, getting back into the regular Paisley Drive. I think it is a fantastic pedal that maybe it is tube screamer based, but whenever I look at it, I don't think, oh, this is going to sound like a tube screamer.
I think this is a pedal that might surprise you and you might end up loving. Reason why I say that is you've got a deluxe. It's pretty mid-scooped. You play a Telly and a Duesenberg.
Yep. It does make me nervous that sometimes you can hear some of that clean coming through that pedal. Because I have never been a fan of clean coming through a drive sound.
But Wampler made this.
But Wampler made it the king of drives.
I mean, he's not the king of tone, but...
No, he's the king of drives, I said.
He's fantastic.
The king of drives. Wampler. We're not sponsored by Wampler, but let me tell you something. I would like to be in some ways.
I mean, it'd be nice if he sent us free pedals, but...
There we go. We'd check him out, and we'd give you guys an honest review. So maybe he doesn't want to send them to us because he's nervous. But I'll tell you what, I haven't played a Wampler pedal that I haven't liked. Because gosh, dang.
I know, he does make
every Wampler pedal I've ever plugged into my pedal board, I've thought, this thing's great. Maybe it doesn't live there forever, but they're all great.
Oh, yeah.
So I completely trust it. I trust Brad. I trust Brian Wampler. I think this thing is probably tweaked really well to where you can use it for tons of things, like Brian does with most things. And Brad uses a pretty big variety of amps too. He's been known to use Trainwrecks. He's been known to use Z-Rex. He's been known to use Blues Breakers, Vox AC30s. I've seen him use like wild arrays of things. So I think it's probably tweakable where you could use it with a lot of amps.
I think so too.
It's a gas. Clearly it's a gas for me.
Yeah.
I'm a Brad Paisley fan too, so that doesn't hurt. But it's a gas for me. What about for you?
I think we're gonna have to try this out. I don't know if it's 100% a gas for me.
Okay.
Because I've got some Tube Screamer-esque things that I love, like a Green Rhino.
Yeah. But the fact that you like that makes me think we should try some more stuff kind of like that.
I know. But I would be down for trying it, for sure. Okay. I don't know if I'd go out and buy it, but I'd be down for trying it.
Yeah. Well, that means I got to buy it.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move into my main topic. This is me asking you a question.
Me or them?
This is me asking you a question.
Okay. Because I try to ignore you most of the time.
Well, you can't ignore me because I'm going to ask you a question.
All right, here we go.
So, I have always struggled with fuzz pedals.
I know.
Every time I listen to them, not every time, many times I listen to them, I think, man, I love that. I'm going to buy it. And I buy it. And I struggle with it.
I know.
Dang, I struggle with it. You bought me a fuzz pedal
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of my intro into fuzz. The first time I played a fuzz pedal that I really got into and was like, oh, I get it. I kind of get it. So I want to ask you, and it's going to help our listeners out, give me a little bit of a guide into fuzz for the guy that doesn't, he likes the sound of them, but he doesn't really get it. Like he doesn't get the fuzz thing yet.
Okay.
How do I get into these fuzz pedals? Like what's a good place to start, or how do you look at them? Because there's a huge variant, and I'm not saying get into all the variants. I'm just saying kind of get me my foot in the door to get me started on these, and then we can explore further from there.
Okay. Oh, goodness. This is a rabbit hole that might take us a while.
And you can tell them what you've done to kind of get me into it, I guess, would be the best part.
Okay, we'll start there.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of go off on a tangent, because this might take a bit. So if you like fuzz or are thinking about getting into fuzz, this is a good video to watch.
Are you fuzz curious?
Okay. So anyways, so we did Pedalmas one year. I think it was like our second year.
Mm-hmm.
And Casey has never been a huge fuzz guy. Now that being said, I know some of his favorite tones have been Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin. When you watch it, it might get loud. He plugs in this tone bender circuit and he plugs it into Marshall, and it's just a whole vibe.
It's glorious.
It sounds fantastic. You see Jack White and The Edge, they're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
So there's something to it. There's also, what I love about it is there's a little section where he plays Ramble On, and he rolls his volume down, and it's a glorious clean. Turns it up, and it's that monstrous, like, distortion fuzz sound.
Yep.
And I think if there was any fuzz sound for you to truly enjoy at first, it was that sound from Jimmy Page. So I knew if I was going to get you into any fuzz, it had to be in the tone bender realm.
And I had recently gotten this Marshall.
Right. So it made sense that I got you a tone bender, because you don't really want to plug it into a Fender clean, right? It's meant to be in a cranked amp, or at least a breaking up amp. So I went and found a tone bender style-esque circuit for Pedalmas. And this is from Love Pedal. I think it's the MK2, MK3, something like that. But it's just a volume and a gain, just like a tone bender. You open the Pedalmas, and you're like, yeah, not really looking forward to this.
I was like, man, I guess I'm going to have fun with this.
Yeah, sure. And there's hardly no design on it, right? So it's not that appealing. But anyways, we plugged it in, and we tried it clean, and we're like, yeah, this is not what we're looking for. But then you put it in front of a drive, and that changed the game.
Changed the game. Yeah, it was the first fuzz pedal I plugged into that I was like, I get it. I think many of the fuzz pedals I first tried out were fuzz face inspired pedals.
Sure.
And reason one I didn't get it is I probably had the wrong amp for it, A. B, I think I was plugging it into a clean amp, which is not great for most fuzz faces. Some people like them, and different fuzz faces are different. But I wasn't a big fan of that. And then also I think a lot of the fuzz faces style pedals I was plugging into were very like Jimi Hendrix-esque style things that probably would have done better with Strats and things along those lines. And I was trying to play Les Pauls.
Right.
And I didn't understand, like, I'd play a chord on it, and I'd be like, oh, this thing sounds like trash. And, like, I didn't understand how to work it. It's almost fuzzes are almost like another instrument.
They really are. So what you have to think about with fuzz, if you're first getting into fuzz, is what is my current setup? So are you playing a single coil? Are you playing humbuckers? Are you playing in a Fender amp? Are you playing in a Vox? Are you playing in a Marshall? And I know there's a lot out there, but that's the main
basic food groups.
Camps, right? So if you're going into a Fender style amp, you're probably not going to want to go into a fuzz face because it's real boomy, right? So the bottom end is just going to be, it's going to sound too thick, especially if you're going into a clean amp. It's just going to sound like trash.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
And if you're going into a clean amp, you can't put a drive after it.
Right.
And turn the drive on, and that will help some.
It'll help for sure. So, I mean, that is an option if you have that at your disposal. Now, if you're playing You know, if you're playing in a Marshall, you've got humbuckers, you're going to want a fuzz that's a little more mid-focus, which obviously a tone bender is. So it's kind of like if you think about a treble booster but fuzzier, to me that's a tone bender.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Mick Ronson thing, that is some great fuzz sounds, right? So you got to think about what you have. You also have to think about what you're inspired by. So he's a big Jimmy Page guy. I do like Hendrix, but to me, like I said, I think earlier, Dwayne Allman, he's my guy. And, you know, he played a fuzz face through, actually I think he played some Fenders, but they were cranked.
Yeah, and I think there is a misconception too that, maybe not a misconception, I think a lot of people think that Hendrix was stepping on the fuzz face and stepping off the fuzz face all the time.
All volume knob.
It was all his volume knob, and he would turn down his volume and get those super beautiful cleans. And that's half the reason why his cleans were so glorious, is because his fuzz face was on, he rolled down that volume, and it's so bright and spanky and sparkly. Mm-hmm. You know, even with those long coily cables he had and all that capacitance through those, he was still keeping all that bright spank in that Fender guitar because that fuzz face was on and he had rolled down.
And another thing you have to think about with fuzzes, each camp is completely different. And when I talk about a camp, I'm talking about fuzz face, tone bender, big muff, the ram head.
I would almost call a rat pedal turned up super high, the gain cranked up, almost fuzzy too.
So that's another good entry point into fuzz. If you're going into a rat, because it's between distortion and fuzz. So Analog Man makes this Astrotone fuzz. That's a great entry point. Wampler had the Velvet Fuzz, the Cryptid Fuzz, I think now. Mm-hmm. So there are lots of entry points. Something I want you to keep in mind, especially if you're really looking into fuzz, if you're getting in the nitty gritty, there is a big difference in silicon and germanium. So when you're looking at, and especially, you know, power, right? Because germanium is going to be a little more finicky, but the tones are pretty different. So to me, germanium is the biggest boom, so you get the most low end out of it. Silicon is a little more piercing. It's closer to a tone bender style if you're looking in the fuzz face realm. So really take a look at germanium silicon, what you think. I think for me, the most flexible fuzz is probably that Scarab. I don't know if you've looked into that.
Basic Audio Scarab Deluxe.
Yeah. I think that is probably one of the most flexible fuzzes.
I think that is based off a tone bender also.
Right.
It's definitely tweaked a bunch.
Tweaked a lot.
Yeah.
If you're going for like a traditional fuzz face, you know, full tone 69, I mean, you have a bunch of different bias contour controls on there. That helps you. I would say if you have a traditional volume and a fuzz knob, you're less likely to be inspired. Now, that was taking a risk.
Yeah.
That was taking a risk with you because there's not a whole lot of bias control.
Nope.
So
that's why something like the Sunface, I've got a Sunface from Analog Man up here, and you can get the bias pot put on the outside. Very beneficial.
Right.
Try to get those tweaked.
Especially when you have germanium, because every room's going to be different. The temperature is going to change how it sounds. There's a lot of variables with fuzz, honestly.
Yeah, there is.
You know, and then you have like the gated fuzz sounds from Z-Vex and stuff like that. Like, there's honestly, as much as there are different amps, I feel like fuzz is almost like a totally different spectrum of amps.
It almost feels like every fuzz pedal is like a different guitar. Like,
kind of.
You almost have to play it like a completely different instrument, and even the same fuzz pedals, you know, the same type of fuzz pedals, they're going to feel a little bit different and sound a little bit different.
Right. And typically, this is not all the time, but germanium typically cleans up a little better than silicon, stuff like that. So there's just a lot that goes into it. I think your best bet is to either get into those distortion style fuzzes.
That's why I'm going to nail you down to this.
Okay.
I'm a guitar player, never owned a fuzz pedal. You don't know what amp I play. What should I look at?
Well, you've given me nothing.
I know, that's the point. What should I look into? Should it be that rat pedal?
If you don't have a rat, I don't think it's ever a bad idea to get a rat.
Okay. Well, I think the Astro Fuzz is probably a good place to go.
I think the Scarab is probably number one.
Scarab is good. And then I think if you're the guy that likes to have a little taste of each style, you want a tone bender, you want a fuzz face, you want a little bit, you want the octave fuzz thing. I think that some of these JHS, what is the wedge-shaped boxes they make?
Oh, it's just the Legend series.
The Legend series. I think that Legend series, if you're one to get into specific fuzzes, it's probably not a bad place to look either.
Yeah, it's so I don't dislike the JHS fuzzes. It's just I get concerned when people go to a specific sound initially for a fuzz because then you think this is all fuzz is.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Right.
And that's what screwed me up. So yeah, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe I'm wrong saying that.
I would say the Scarab, if you're into tone bender-esque, you would go full tone 69 if you're into fuzz face-esque.
Yeah.
And
I've got a full tone 72, which is silicon, right?
Yeah,
and
that's a silicon. If that's your thing, it's a little more nasally.
Yeah.
The germanium's a little more boomy. Electro Harmonics makes so many big muff variants now.
Yeah.
And honestly, you're not going to go wrong there. But there's and you got the JHS Muffaletta, which has got a lot of fuzz in that too. So there's a lot of options you can go. What I'm trying to get at is if you like certain sounds, search what those sounds are, figure out what your current setup is, and maybe you can find a roundabout way to get there. But don't be defeated. Fuzz is like, you think overdrives are difficult.
Yeah.
Fuzz is very difficult because there's lots of variables.
And every guitar and every amp you plug into is going to be radically different with that fuzz pedal. So if the person's fuzz that you love the sound of is a fuzz face, but you're playing a Fender Twin and you're playing a 335, probably don't buy that fuzz face.
You're going to get some feedback.
Yeah. So maybe don't buy that fuzz face. Look at a different fuzz, right?
Right.
And so I think you kind of gave us some good entry points.
Yeah. Another tip, and I know you want to end it, but don't forget your tone knob with a fuzz, because if it's too bright, there's a reason you have a tone knob on that guitar. You actually might end up loving that pedal.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely done that where it's really bright and just been like, I got to turn this thing off. And I probably could have tweaked it with my tone.
Just tone knob. The tone knob and a fuzz is super interactive.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that helped you guys out. I think it actually cleared up a few things for me.
Okay, awesome.
We need to do an episode where we play a handful of these different fuzz types and get a little better sound examples of it too. I think that would be good. I think that would be ultra beneficial for this guy.
Okay, whatever works.
I struggle with them still. You've gotten me into them, but I still struggle making some of them work and finding the right places for them.
And it can be defeating. I get that because fuzz is so specific.
How many times have I put a fuzz on my board, went to a gig, and halfway through the gig I just want to throw it?
It's why did I even bring this?
I step on it and I'm out of the mix and it sounds harsh.
If you're going for a mix and just a hairy fuzz, Astrotone. That's a great go-to.
Okay. Well, anyway, write down what you guys think down below. Do you guys have another pedal suggestion maybe that would be good to get into fuzz?
Yep.
Because there's a ton of them out there.
Yeah. Mojo Hand makes great. I mean, there's a bunch, so.
Yeah, literally thousands.
Yep.
So, anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.